On the agenda tonight, we're going to be taking a look at Celine Dion performing at the Elie Saab fashion show a few weeks ago. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So I received a lot of messages about this, and I think it's because people are just confused, especially after the last video that I did on Celine, where we were looking at her performance from the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games, and given her recent health issues and everything. So this performance was from a few weeks ago, and obviously people are asking me, well, what is going on here? Is she now singing live, having not been able to do that at the opening ceremony of the Olympics? Or, you know, is it now going to be a case that when they say that she is performing, or it is labelled that she's performing, that it now really doesn't mean a live vocal anymore? And just a heads up for those of you that don't watch my channel, or maybe have only watched it recently, when you're performing live, that doesn't mean singing live. It means that you are there and you are moving, and you are there live. That's basically what it covers, that you are there at that time, therefore you're performing live, you are moving. So there is a serious side to tonight's video, because after that first video that I made, some people said in the comments section, oh, why can't you just let it be? Why do you have to, you know, spoil the magic or spoil the illusion of the performance? Why couldn't you just allow people to think that it was her singing? And kind of, I guess, ruin the story of her, you know, coming from all of those health issues to now perform this way at the opening ceremony of the Olympics. And the reason that I can't do that is because before my analysis video, I received emails from people suffering from similar health issues that had seen this performance, the one at the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games, and they messaged me asking me to tell them which exercises Celine was doing to get her voice back, because they've gone through these health issues and they've lost their voice, and they might have had very similar health issues to Celine, and they cannot get their head round how she's got to this point because they have tried everything, and they're asking me to tell them how she did this. So the reason for my analysis video is, transparency, to let people understand what is going on, that you don't have to have a go at yourself because you can't do it and somebody else clearly can do it who's got exactly the same problems that you've got, or even worse than you think you've got, and then somehow you can't do it, so the problem must be with you. And you know, they start to lose all of their confidence and start, I don't know, maybe hating their body because they can't figure out why their voice isn't working the same way that it used to, when obviously it is possible to totally recover. That lack of transparency isn't healthy when you're talking about that particular audience. So yeah, as much as I think it's great to have the story and all that kind of stuff, I think that, you know, it's not a movie, it's not something that is fictional. We have to live in the real world, and I think that full transparency is the most important thing. I think Celine, even getting up on stage, even if she's not singing live, that is still a success story, given what she's been through. But then it's when people are making videos, and even vocal coaches doing reaction videos on her vocal at the Olympics, and they are thinking that that's her real voice. So you've got vocal coaches effectively pushing that narrative that, oh, this is possible. So if you've been through a similar thing, you'll be able to get back to this. And yeah, sadly, people don't really know what they're watching. Even vocal coaches and professional musicians don't necessarily understand how deep the rabbit hole goes when we're talking about live performances. But ultimately, this is a requested analysis video, so we are going to jump into it and see what's going on. Links are in the description below as always if you want to check out these performances independently, and we are going to be listening to the isolated vocal, so we'll have a listen to this.
The whispers in the morning of love asleep and tight, are rolling by like thunder now. As I look in your eyes, I hold on to your body and feel each move you make.
I'm just going to jump in here because what I will say about what we've heard so far, I mean, it sounds great and it hasn't been overly pitch corrected. I know that we are, you know, quite strict to a 440 standard pitch equal temperament, you know, with this kind of thing, touching on the E4 twice here and then perfectly over the line. But when we go back, you will see this kind of thing where we do have a bit of a flow to the vocal. And I'll let this play on.
Voice is warm and tender, a love that I could.
And even this kind of thing, allowing that note to be ever so slightly sharp of the F sharp 4.
Not forsake, 'cause I'm your lady.
And then, I mean, yeah, we're absolutely stuck to that A4. So at this point, I would say that, yeah, it's getting a little bit more strict with the pitch correction.
And you are my man. Whenever you reach for me.
But anyway, I think that the people that requested this video are more interested in not whether it's pitch corrected, even though that does then imply that it's been pre-recorded, because pitch correction, such as Melodyne, is applied after you've recorded your vocal. It's then pitch corrected and then you have the final product. So it's not something that can be done live unless you're using auto-tune. So this is not an auto-tuned vocal. So I've had a listen to a few performances, and in the left channel we're going to have a performance from 2019 in Las Vegas, and in the right channel we're going to have the 2024 performance. And I'm going to let this play from where the vocal comes in.
Whispers in the morning of love sleeping tight are rolling by like thunder now.
So you can already hear differences between these two vocals. So this is not the same audio file that's being used, and admittedly I don't have access to all of Celine Dion's recorded performances and the desk audio and all that kind of stuff. So all I'm saying here is that the performance in Las Vegas is not the same vocal as the one that we're hearing on the right hand side. But I mean, you'll be able to see that on screen anyway. If you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you'll see how, you know, these lines wouldn't overlap if I moved them there, you know, over the top of each other or attempted to, because these lines are all totally different. And you can see here perfectly on the G4, and then it's flat to the G4. So as we move forward, I don't know how far we need to go. Let me just listen to this.
Your voice is warm and tender, a love that I could not forsake.
So you can hear that definite difference between these two vocals.
'Cause I'm your lady.
And all of a sudden, something happens where, and you can see straight away on screen, slightly below the C5, slightly below the C5, this little notch on the B4, little notch on the B4, then we kind of come down, we have this little hook up, come down, little hook up, held vibrato, tail off at the end. We now have an echo and something that looks, you know, pretty much identical from left to right. And as soon as we get to this point, have a listen to it. Two totally different vocals.
'Cause I'm your lady.
And now we're synced up. If you have sensitive ears, you might even be able to hear this. I'm going to let it play on a little bit.
And you are my man. Whenever you reach for me.
And you'll start to see, you know, these shapes are now starting to kind of replicate each other.
Of the world that I care. We're heading for something. Somewhere I've never been.
I mean, obviously, I've said you can hear it, but when you get this kind of thing that happens where we have a note that actually started sharp, or landed sharp and came down and actually went flat, and then at the end came back up perfectly to the E4, and we get the exact same thing happening over on this side. I mean, these are things that are unique to every single performance. You can't sing over your vocal lines. It's impossible. So anyway, as I kind of move this over here and kind of try and see where we get to pitch. So there we go. So again, it's going to be a perfect replication where the lines go over the top of the other lines. That's, you know, just the way it works when you're looking at the same audio file. And as you can see, actually, when I dragged it over the top there are a lot of lines here that weren't complete, but then the other lines obviously do complete it.
Sometimes I am frightened, but I'm ready to.
And, you know, this kind of thing here, this is so unique. This kind of almost sporadic, you know, change of pitch, because Celine's saying a lot of words at the same time. That kind of thing, I mean, it's going to be a very good indication. There you go. I've almost kind of got it straight over the top already. There we go. So that kind of sporadic change in pitch is something that, well, you can never replicate this anyway, even if you were just singing, you know, a few notes. But when you've got this kind of thing that's absolutely the same, and if I kind of go all the way, you can see how there's no dramatic difference between those two. So in conclusion, what I'm saying is that this part of the performance is an audio file that has existed since at least 2019, maybe before, who knows. But when we go back to the beginning of the performance, that is not the same vocal. So I think what's happened is they've taken the first section from another performance. Like I said, I don't have access to their vaults. So they've taken that and then used this particular one, which I just happened to have found from 2019. And obviously you could say, because we can't find, well, you know, it'll be impossible to do that kind of research to find the exact performance that the first section's taken from. Because I don't have that file, I can't conclusively say that Celine wasn't singing. And I have said that the pitch correction on it is very light. So what we want to listen out for here is any change in the mic response, the way that Celine's voice sounds, because if she were singing this live, there would be an ever so slight difference. It's something I pointed out in my Mariah Carey analysis I did recently, where at the same point in every performance, her voice just got a different sound to it, because that was a backing track vocal, pre-recorded vocal, and the live vocal then stopped. So you get this ever so slight change in the sound. So have a listen.
Love that I could not forsake, 'cause I'm your lady.
So, I mean, I've got reference speakers here, so I can hear it in a lot of detail, and that vocal sounds pretty level, even, and nothing really changes in there. So what I would say, listening to this, we haven't got the audio file, but listening to it, I would say that this vocal might have been as part of the Las Vegas tour. It's just a different performance that I don't have access to, and it's been merged with the performance that, you know, I do have the audio from. So they've just taken the first section, The first verses from another performance and the second section from another performance. And if it was all taken from Las Vegas, it means that you're going to get more of a reliable sound because it was the same shows. It'll be the same sound setup, same desk, same reverb they're applying to her voice, all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, not to say that they couldn't just record her vocal dry through the mixer if they wanted to then use that as a reference point, get it in the studio dry, and that means with no effects, and then do their pitch correction, apply reverb to it, and then have that audio file that's then effectively mixed down, and they have that now on record so that they can use it. And when I say on record, I don't mean an actual vinyl record. I mean, they've got that in their vault effectively so they can use that and use it for performances in the future if they want to. This is just my professional opinion of having been in production for a very long time and being a professional musician, having performed live and watched a hell of a lot of videos on this channel, having analysed them in a lot of detail. You can spot things like that, especially with reference speakers. Just a tiny change in that mic sound really does stand out. But for me, this is really consistent from the verse into the chorus. And just for those who might not have watched my channel in the past and don't know what lines look like when it's the same singer singing the same song but on different nights, I will compare the vocal lines from Las Vegas to the audio that they've used for the 2024 performance. Let's have a listen. I mean, immediately you can hear the timing. So anyway, yeah, let me move this back a little bit and I will grab the lines from the right hand side and move them over. So once we kind of get to here and then try to line it up as best we can for timing. So now let me see. Yeah, that is here we go. So this is now lined up. I've been through exactly the same process that I did with the other vocal that is the same vocal. So I've moved it in a little bit closer so you can see, even having the same singer, the same song, even if you try and kind of manipulate the data and you try and cheat, say for example I'm trying to get this line to line up here, you can say, well, what's going on here? It's branched off and it's now not completing that other line. So then you could try and move it and go, all right, well, let's try and make it complete the other line. You go, well, now it's not going over the top of the line here. And here you can say, well, that should be off to the right if I want to try and do that. But then everything else goes out. This is what it looks like when you've got same singer, same song, but they are two separate vocals. Now, I would say that sounded pretty similar with the notes that Celine's hitting, the way that she's kind of holding the notes, applying vibrato. So I'm just going to move this over a little bit here and we'll move this up a little bit. And there we go. So even for something, let me just, again, no matter how I try and line this up, again, there's no way of cheating this. If I try and get this line here to go over the top of the other line, let me see where it is, it's there, then this line here is now way out. And you can see that all these other lines here are not going over the top of each other. Let alone lines completing lines. And taking that whole lines completing lines theory, when we look at this line and the one that I've tried to match up, when we kind of get rid of it, you can see how this line stops here at the C sharp 4 and the other line goes all the way up to the D4. So they don't complete each other because one goes higher and then stops and one's lower. So yeah, even with something that sounds really similar, you cannot manipulate these lines. They're always going to look like, just a bit of a mess, let alone going perfectly over the top of each other. But anyway, this is probably for more recent viewers who might not understand the detail with which we are looking at these vocals and how unique pitches from one performance to the next, that only when it's the same audio file will it overlap itself. And yeah, I mean, Celine is a great example because of her ability to sing something and for it to sound identical, but then when you look at it, it is anything but. So anyway, I think it is just going to be the case now that with Celine Dion performances, that they are performances, and I fully don't expect her to be singing live, and I don't think that her fans who know what she's been through really expect that either. It's more about just celebrating her career and her voice and just, yeah, enjoying performances that she can give, because like I said, I still think that that is a success story considering what she's been through. But thank you guys for requesting this particular analysis video for tonight. Keep those suggestions and requests coming in the comment section below. As always, let me know what you guys think, and if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Rock!